Hi, I'm Mason, I'm 21, and when I turned 18, my dad gave me two things, a broken rib and a lifetime of clarity. It started on a Friday morning in mid-October. I remember that because I'd been counting down to it for years, not to vote, not to buy scratch-offs, but because it was the first day they couldn't legally drag me back. I'd grown up in a house that looked like a damn Pinterest ad. Colonial white siding, matching shutters, mom's flower beds always pristine. But inside? It felt like I was the background character in someone else's family photo. My younger brother, Aiden, was the chosen one. Golden boy. 2 years younger, played varsity soccer, had perfect teeth, got the big bedroom just because he was more social. Kid could crash the car into the mailbox and they'd ask if he wanted pizza or Thai to help him feel better. Me? I got chewed out for using the nice towel. Once, I left a single sock in the laundry and my mom sat me down for a 30-minute PowerPoint on how I lacked discipline. She actually made slides. And I took it. I worked part-time stocking shelves at an auto parts store. Saved up every cent in a beat-up envelope under my bed because I knew if I ever wanted out, I'd have to fund my own exit plan. I didn't complain. I stayed quiet. I tried to be useful without being noticed. But I should have known better. On my 18th birthday, I came downstairs at 11 a.m. and found my dad wrapping a box in silver ribbon. Aiden was bouncing like it was Christmas. Mom already had her iPad out for pictures. Nobody looked at me. Not one. Happy birthday. Not even a glance. Then my mom saw me and went, "Oh good, Mason. You're just in time." Just in time for what? Aiden ripped open the box and pulled out this brand new designer smartwatch. Leather strap, chrome finish, limited edition. My dad smiled like he just handed over a family heirloom. "You earned it, bud. We're proud of you." Aiden's birthday is in June. This was mine. But sure, let's celebrate the other kid. I stood there, just waiting. My mom finally turned to me with her usual fake warm smile and said, "Life isn't about gifts, sweetheart. It's about gratitude." I asked, "What about the cake?" Aiden snorted. "We had it earlier. While you were still asleep. My name was on it anyway." I blinked. "You had birthday cake. On my birthday. Without me?" My dad said. "Don't start, Mason. It's just cake. Be grateful." And I don't know what flipped in me, but something snapped. Years of being invisible boiled up into one sentence. I said, "This is pathetic. You're pathetic. You all pretend he's earned something when he hasn't worked for a damn thing." My dad's smile dropped. "Watch your mouth." "No," I said. "You watch. Watch your golden boy fail upwards while you ignore the kid who's actually trying." He moved fast. Grabbed me by the collar and slammed me into the fridge so hard my vision blurred. I didn't even feel the first hit to my ribs, just tasted metal in my mouth and felt the floor disappear. "We're done," he growled. "You hear me? Done. Get out of my house, you ungrateful little mistake." That was the last thing he called me, a mistake. And that night I left. No plan. No goodbye. Just a backpack, a stolen granola bar, and the $126.50 I'd managed to save. That first night after I left, I crashed behind the gas station dumpster 2 blocks from my old high school. It was cold. I had on 2 shirts, a hoodie, and zero clue what came next. My phone was at 9% and I didn't dare text anyone, not that I had anyone. I didn't even tell my coworker I was leaving. I had no plan. Just freedom. And bruised ribs that made it hard to breathe. The next 4 nights were brutal. I rotated between a 24-hour laundromat, the bus station lobby, until they kicked me out, and a bench in a park where the sprinklers turned on at 4 a.m. I learned real fast which gas stations had free coffee samples, which trash cans had unopened food tossed by guilt-ridden customers, and how to brush your teeth in a public bathroom without getting weird looks. By night 5, I found the downtown church shelter. A guy named Reggie ran the intake. Ex-Marine. Didn't say much. Just looked me up and down, handed me a cot card, and said, "You snore, you're out." I didn't snore. I didn't sleep much either. But at least I had a roof and a hot meal 3 nights a week. Days were for job hunting. I used the library computers like my life depended on it, because it did. I applied to everything. Grocery bagger. Mall security. Dish pit. If it paid minimum wage and didn't ask too many questions, I sent an application. Then, 2 weeks in, I got a call back. A warehouse gig over on Briarwood Industrial. Medical supplies. Full-time if I could lift 50 pounds and didn't mind getting dirty. I showed up to the interview wearing a borrowed collared shirt that didn't fit and the cleanest pair of jeans I had. The manager, a guy named Rick who looked like he ate bricks for breakfast, asked, "You know how to show up on time?" I said, "Yes, sir." He nodded. Good enough. I started the next day. It was brutal work. Lugging boxes. Loading pallets. Shrink-wrapping shipments until my hands bled. But it was a paycheck. My first one in months. I remember holding that stub, $392 after taxes, like it was a trophy. I moved out of the shelter a week later. Reggie pulled me aside on my last night. He said, "You're one of the quiet ones. Quiet ones that disappear or make it. No in between." I didn't know what that meant at the time. But I was about to find out. I rented a room in the garage apartment behind this retired guy's place. Mr. Halvorsen. He had 3 teeth, a big heart, and a habit of leaving leftover meatloaf on my porch without saying a word. The place smelled like motor oil and cat litter, but it had heat, a door that locked, and my name on the mailbox. That was the first time I felt like a real person in weeks. Then one night, scrolling through my phone on Reggie's old Wi-Fi password, I got a message from an unknown number. "Is this Mason?" "This is Mrs. Finn. From Jefferson High. I just heard from the counselor's office. Did you really withdraw your college apps?" My stomach sank. Because I hadn't. And that's when I realized they were still trying to erase me, even after I left. That message from Mrs. Finn? It hit like a second punch to the ribs. I hadn't withdrawn my college applications. I'd spent months sneaking library time to finish essays, scraping together fees from gas station tips and overtime shifts. But apparently someone had told the school otherwise. I called the guidance office the next morning. The secretary recognized my voice right away. "Oh, Mason," she said awkwardly. "We were told by your parents that you decided not to pursue college this year. That you'd had a change of heart." That wasn't even a good lie. I asked if I could still reactivate my records. She hesitated. "Some deadlines passed, unfortunately. The state grant you qualified for? That's gone." I sat on a curb outside the warehouse, surrounded by the sounds of forklifts and loading docks, staring at a sidewalk crack like it might open up and swallow me. They weren't just happy I left. They wanted to make sure I never made it anywhere. That was the day I stopped feeling sad and started taking notes. I worked my shifts, kept my head down, and quietly fixed what I could. Reapplied to the community college. Wrote a statement for financial aid. Begged for a dependency override and sent them everything: shelter intake records, job pay stubs, even Reggie's handwritten notes saying I hadn't been home since October. It worked. Barely. I got accepted to start in January. My major? Logistics and supply chain management. Go figure. That same week, Rick, my boss at the warehouse, pulled me aside. "You're not stupid," he said bluntly. "I've seen you fix more systems in 2 months than my last 3 hires combined. Ever thought about learning the back end?" That's how I started training for inventory control. It paid 80 cents more an hour and didn't kill my spine. I also started noticing something. People remembered me. I wasn't just the quiet kid hauling boxes anymore. I was the guy who could fix the barcode scanner when it freaked out. The guy who reorganized the busted printer queue. The guy who didn't steal time or slack off. It was small, but it mattered. Then, one night in December, after a double shift, I got home, opened my email, and found something that froze my blood. A message from Aiden. Subject line: still trash. Attached, a photo. It was my old room. But it wasn't mine anymore. Beige walls. New desk. College brochures on the shelf. Aiden's voice in the message. Finally got rid of your loser vibes. Now it's a study space for a real student. That's when I knew he hadn't changed. None of them had. But I had. I clicked save, opened a folder on my laptop, and named it simply Receipts. If they wanted to erase me, fine. But they'd feel every missing piece when I started pulling threads. It wasn't about revenge. Not yet. It was about accountability. And I was just getting started. You know that saying. Living well is the best revenge. Yeah, I believe that. For like 2 minutes. Then I found Aiden's Instagram. The dude was posting under a fakish handle. His first name, some numbers, and a bunch of gym selfies captioned like motivational posters written by a cocky goldfish. But buried in his highlights? Gold. There was a whole story reel titled Brian Set. In it, Aiden was bragging about copying someone's entire AP English essay. Recording a snap where he laughed about paying another kid to log his volunteer hours. Joking with his friends about faking concussion symptoms to skip midterms. Literally filming himself on his phone while saying, "College apps are a joke. You just say the right buzzwords. They'll never check." And these weren't private. His profile was public. Timestamps, usernames, all traceable. I screenshotted everything. Every single slide. Then I made a backup. Then I made a second backup. Labeled the folder Scholarship Star, and moved it into my receipts folder. It was no longer about just proving them wrong. It was about letting the truth breathe. At the same time, I started looking into their house. The one they used to lord over me like a castle of judgment. Guess what I found? They'd listed it for sale. 3-bedroom. Lovingly maintained. Priced way above market value. The photos were hilarious. All bright and cozy and fake. They even staged my old room as multi-purpose bonus space, ideal for study or gaming. Translation. We scrubbed out the one kid who never fit. I dug deeper. Used my warehouse login to get access to a partner database we shared with a property logistics client, completely above board. Just public info, packaged differently. Turns out, the house had a history. A not-so-little basement flooding issue. Like 3 separate permits for drainage work, 1 insurance claim filed under water intrusion, and 2 HOA complaints about backyard runoff from their property. None of that was disclosed in the listing. Real estate fraud. You're supposed to declare known issues. And guess who had copies of the permits and the complaint letters? Now me. At this point, I had 2 folders. Receipts for Aiden. Foundation for the house. All dated, labeled, printed, and backed up to 3 clouds. 1 in my name, 1 in my school email, and 1 under an alias Reggie helped me set up. I wasn't trying to be dramatic. I was preparing evidence. Because one thing I learned while rebuilding my life is this. Revenge isn't a fire. It's a switchboard. And I was about to start flipping the breakers. By the time January rolled around, I was a full-time student and still working weekends at the warehouse. I'd managed to lock down a student apartment close to campus. Small, kind of creaky, but clean. No mildew smell, no passive-aggressive post-its, no one calling me a failure before breakfast. For the first time in my life, I felt stable. Not safe exactly, but solid. Like I had momentum. That's when the college emailed me. They wanted to feature me in their spring showcase for first-gen students. Apparently, my academic advisor had nominated me. Said my GPA, work ethic, and backstory were inspiring. I read the email twice before it clicked. They wanted me to speak. On a stage. In public. At an event streamed to local parents, faculty, and alumni. I was terrified. But I said yes. Not for clout. Not even for me. Because I knew who else might be watching. Meanwhile, the foundation folder had grown fatter than Aiden's ego. More documents, more damning details. I even found a video on a local Facebook group from 6 years ago, water rushing into their garage during a storm. Posted by a neighbor. I downloaded it, clipped the part where someone yells, "Shouldn't there some pump be working?" and added it to my stash. But I wasn't ready to strike. Not yet. I wanted the stage. The spotlight. The clean image of success right before their perfect little tower started crumbling. Then came the next twist, Aiden's college acceptance announcement. He got into Arcadia University. Big name. Fancy brochures. Full ride scholarship, according to his grindset highlight reel, which I noticed had quietly disappeared from his profile. Too late, of course, I already had the receipts. Still, he was walking around town acting like he invented education. My old classmates tagged him in posts like he was some local hero. Even teachers I respected started commenting with, "So proud of you!" and "Knew you'd go far." I didn't comment. I didn't need to. Because I'd already drafted the email. Subject: Academic Integrity Concern. Aiden Callahan, Arcadia University applicant. Body: attached are screenshots showing social media posts where the applicant admits to multiple instances of academic dishonesty, including plagiarism and falsifying volunteer hours. Please review before finalizing any offers of admission or scholarship awards. No return address. Routed through a third-party service. I didn't want him expelled. I just wanted him nervous. I wanted every login to feel like a trap. Every admissions email to feel like a summons. Every scholarship form to feel radioactive. I sent the message at 2:08 a.m. on a Thursday. By noon the next day, I got a text from a random number. "Dude, did you send something to Arcadia? My app's under review now. What did you do?" No name. But I didn't need one. I just stared at the screen, smiled, and thought, "Checkmate's coming, bro. Hope your foundation's solid." The spring showcase was held in mid-March. I wore a second-hand blazer and the same beat-up boots I'd walked out in the night my father disowned me. Figured they deserved to be on stage too. 300 people filled the auditorium: students, parents, faculty, community donors. And somewhere out there, watching on the live stream posted to the college's homepage, my parents. I could feel them. I don't know how, but I could. When they introduced me, the host said, "Please welcome Mason Callahan, a first-generation student who proves that resilience isn't just about surviving, it's about rewriting the ending." I stepped up, palms sweaty, voice dry. And I told the truth. About being forgotten in my own home. About being kicked out on my 18th birthday. About the shelter, the warehouse, the stolen granola bar, the 3 a.m. bus station naps. I said, I used to think being invisible meant I was broken. That if the people who raised me couldn't see me, maybe there was nothing worth seeing. I paused, swallowed, then said, "But I see me now. And that's enough." Standing ovation. I didn't cry on stage. I waited until I got back to my apartment, locked the door, and opened my phone to a wall of notifications. Old classmates. Professors. My warehouse manager. People from town I barely remembered, all saying the same thing. I had no idea. Then, a message popped up that made my breath catch. From a burner account, clearly my mom. "Proud of you. We always believed in you. Hope you'll consider coming home for Easter." Easter. Right. After everything they did, the fists, the silence, the sabotage, they thought a holiday plate would patch it. I didn't reply. I had bigger plans. Because while the world was clapping for the new me, their world was starting to crumble. The house listing vanished off Zillow. Whispers floated through the town gossip pages. Foundation problems, buyers pulled out, agent under review. A week later, I received a confirmation email from a local homeowners legal group I had tipped off anonymously. Thank you for your documentation regarding the concealed water damage and permit inconsistencies at 448 Dyer Street. This matter is now under legal review. Translation? They were screwed. And they knew exactly who had flipped the lights on. The cracks were no longer just in the basement. They were everywhere. And I wasn't done. The foreclosure notice hit their mailbox in early April. I didn't send it, obviously. But I'd seen the filings online a week before. Public record. 3 missed payments. No buyer. Repairs too expensive to hide. Agent dropped them. Mortgage company moving in. The house I'd grown up in, the one they'd turned into a monument to everyone but me, was going back to the bank. The same week, I got another message. This one from a former neighbor. Hey, just saw the showcase video. You crushed it. Also, did you know your old treehouse is gone? They tore it down. That one got me. I didn't even know I cared, but something about the fact that they erased that, too, the place I used to sneak away with books and peanut butter sandwiches just to feel like I existed, yeah? That hit different. They weren't just trying to forget me. They wanted the whole world to. But they were too late. Because now the world knew me. My story had made its way through the university's social media, then the local paper. A podcast asked to interview me. A nonprofit that mentors youth experiencing homelessness reached out. They wanted me to speak on a panel. Me. The mistake. The invisible one. The boy who got punched on his birthday. But the best part. That panel? It was being held at Arcadia University. Guess who was no longer attending there? Yup. Aiden. Turns out those under review flags don't go away quietly. His scholarship had been reevaluated. His admission status? Deferred pending committee review. Translation: he was out. Aiden didn't message me this time. But someone else did, a classmate of his. One line. Yo. What did your brother do? He's losing his mind. I didn't reply. Didn't need to. Let him spin. Let him sit in the silence wondering who was watching, who knew, and how long before the next shoe dropped. That's the thing about golden children, they're not built for storms. I was. And I was just about to finish where I started. They showed up in person 2 weeks before the house foreclosure deadline. I'd just gotten back from campus, long day of lectures and my part-time admin shift, when I saw them standing outside my apartment building like two ghosts that didn't know they were dead yet. My dad looked older. Deflated. He had that posture people get when their pride has rotted faster than their finances. My mom wore a smile so fake it looked like it had been ironed onto her face. Mason, my dad started, voice hoarse. We just want to talk. I didn't move from the sidewalk. You mean now? I said. After the house is unsellable? After Aiden's college dreams are swirling the drain? That's when you find me? My mom stepped forward. We know we made mistakes. I laughed, the cold kind. No, you made decisions. You chose to throw me out. You chose to sabotage my future. And now that karma has an address, you want to have a conversation? They started crying, like that would rewind anything. We're losing everything, my mom said. The house, Aiden's tuition, your dad's job might be next. I stared at them. Let the silence bloom. Good, I finally said. Welcome to the world I lived in for 18 years. Then my dad tried the guilt card. We're still your parents. I shook my head. No, you were the people assigned to me. Parents show up. Parents protect. Parents don't beat their kid for finally speaking up. Parents don't bury their child's future because they're inconvenient. My mom sniffled. Can't we just start over? So I pulled out my phone. Opened the photo from the showcase, me on stage smiling, award in hand. This is what I built after you left me bleeding on a kitchen floor. I said. You don't get to start over just because I survived without you. I turned to leave. My dad reached out to touch my arm. Don't. I said without turning. Don't ever touch me again. And I walked away. I never saw them in person after that. I heard bits and pieces through the town network. The foreclosure went through, they rented a 2-bedroom in the next county. Aiden transferred to a commuter college, still working part-time at some call center. They tried emailing me once. Then texting. Then finally sending a handwritten card that said, "No matter what, you'll always be our son." I tossed it. Because I already have a family now, the one I found. Professors who check in. Friends who celebrate me without conditions. A landlord who remembers my birthday with cinnamon rolls and not a black eye. At 21, I'm working on my business degree, interning with a logistics firm, and saving for grad school. I have a name, a future, and the receipts. I don't need revenge anymore. I already won.